Greetings, it is I, the Harbinger of Destruction, the Dragon of the Abyss, the Devourer of Destiny, the Executioner of Fate. How many titles does this guy have? Dreadscape Gaming. We're going to be playing Diablo IV today. I'm actually going to try something a little different. I'm going to put myself here because since I have to look at, like, the second screen, which is over here, which is basically my phone, I don't really want to be constantly off of screen, which I've noticed. And in Diablo IV, this is not really going to block too much vital information. I'll give you an example. Music is going to come up on the game in a second because I'm tabbed out, and this doesn't play music when you're tabbed out. But as you can see, it's not going to block too much vital information. The only thing that I particularly don't like is you're not going to be able to see, like, some of the item description here. But I think that's pretty fine anyway, since most people that are watching me play this game probably know what it does. And if not, it's not really super important. What is blasting in this game. So we're going to be playing some Diablo IV. We're picking it back up with our rogue character from Season 14, Season of Death. I am now currently with this particular character, because I have multiple characters on the Seasonal Realm. We're at level 246, playing a penetrating shot rogue build. Paragon is 246, I should say. And really today's focus is just to get incremental upgrades to our gear concurrently, because some of this stuff isn't exactly perfect. Some of it isn't necessarily terrible, but it could be a little bit better, right? So ideally, what I want to focus on is getting a nerd dagger that's mythic. Ironically, though, this dagger has, as you can see, the gem strength. It's actually been socketed where it does more damage. Getting a better ring here where I could get, like, some actual affixes on it would be kind of important. Like, I have this ring, and we can do things to change it, but the thing is I want the poison damage multiplier. That's the reason why I haven't been really willing to swap it out just yet. But it is something, like, I have a couple of rings I can play around with, and we'll do that towards the later portion of the stream. I'm not going to start out. Like, vulnerable resource generation on this one's pretty good. So, you know, we're going to play around with things. Today is really about experimentation and seeing if we can get a little bit better. I don't think I have, if I'm not mistaken, anything I can do in terms of, like, upgrading a dagger right out of the key, because I don't think I really have played Diablo 4 off a stream. No, so we need one more spark if I can try to do the roll on that. So what we're going to do a lot of today is potentially war plans. And on top of war plans, we're going to do, like, hell tides. So the war plans we're going to focus on primarily is going to be nothing but hell tides today. I really don't want to do that, but we'll do it. I am going to dumb it down to at least Torment 10, even though we're on Torment 12, because I can't clear certain things just yet comfortably. And like I've mentioned before when I was playing on Friday with the Whirlwind Barbarian, it's usually better to do things at a level that you can do it pretty quickly and speedily, as opposed to doing it at a level, because you see I have 12 unlocked, but we can't really do it that comfortably. So 10 is like a good baseline where you can see most items and dropping that you need. So we're going to focus primarily on that today. One thing that we do have to do at the beginning of this is, like I mentioned this before, people who haven't seen me play this, have to swap between two different things. So I'm going to put in Ballista. Thank you, whoever that was, for a like, follow, comment, wherever that is on YouTube or Twitch. I do greatly appreciate that. Welcome to the stream. Because I have, like, an audio alert that goes off. People are probably like, what the hell? So I switch between, for Ballista, I use it for bossing. Shadow Shot, I use for just fighting general enemies. Alright, so first thing we're doing is Helltide. So hopefully there'll be a Helltide activated. The reason I started the stream yapping was just due to the fact we need to buy a little bit of time. I am going to yap about a lot of different topics today. Like, I want to talk about musicals in particular, because one of the things that a lot of people don't know about me is I do watch musicals. I've mentioned this very briefly on the channel. Let me double check something because I want to make sure OBS is fine too. Okay, it is. Okay, great. I've mentioned this many times on the channel before. I do work in film and television. So one of the things, I gotta get used to the build again because I haven't played it in a bit. We can build just about anything with this build comfortably. The one thing is I don't really want to have a Gary Sue in my way right now. I know that it's the beginning, you know, it's still part of the season stuff, but I kind of prefer not to have her people on my map unless I'm actually playing with them. It's one of those things about Diablo 4 that I've kind of come to dislike quite a bit, because I feel like if you're the wanderer in terms of the storyline, you should kind of be the only wanderer on the map, and that, like, if you want to play, like, multiplayer, it should be something that should be an option like in older Diablo games where you just set it on, as opposed to just having it always on. That's been kind of a big sticking point with me for Diablo 4. I understand that they're trying to force people into like playing for players and making friends that way, but I generally like when I'm playing video games, unless it's like an actual multiplayer game that I'm signed up for, that just have a solo player experience, particularly my dungeon crawlers and ARPGs. You know, I feel kind of the same way about it to a lesser degree in like Monster Hunter games. Like I do team up with people, but it's usually like people I know or friends that I'm cool with. But like with randoms, and you've seen when I've played Monster Hunter in the past on stream, I just don't generally enjoy that type of social game experience. Like I prefer my video game experiences when I'm playing with other people in terms of multiplayer to be like with close friends and people I know. I think that's kind of one of the reasons why I've kind of staved off really playing or doing any more VTuber collabs, because I just kind of have this thing where if I don't personally know you very well, I just kind of, you know, it's one of those things. Like I grew up playing video games, and the way when I grew up playing video games was I just played video games with my friends. And as I mentioned this before, the majority of my friends right now, I'm in the East Coast, live on the West Coast. So they play most of these games on West Coast time. And I don't, you know, get to really ever hang out with them because I can't be up at the time that they're playing video games at, which kind of is very inconvenient for me. So I just primarily stick to playing my friends. Thank you, whoever that was again. Let me double check here. I feel like we were having a little bit of a lag spike. How many chests do we get? I will talk about the topic I want to, but I just want to get clear through this first. So yeah, you know, in Diablo 4, I would prefer if, like, solo self-line was actually solo self-line. I didn't set this character solo self-line. I probably should have. It would have made life a little bit easier for me. Because the thing about it is there's a lot less people in general just playing solo self-line. Alright, good. You guys are fine, right? Did the game settings in? Still have yet to figure out why it does that in this game only in particular. I'm gonna open this up. Why? I need some keys, in case you're wondering why I'm not going for the seasonal event part just yet. I know that was gonna summon a big boss. We'll take it out. We're also obviously trying to go fast for the Helltide. I'm sorry, because some of the content is pretty intense. It makes it hard to yap as much as I would necessarily like to do that. Because I sometimes have to walk in here. So yeah, like I was saying before, I'm a big fan of musicals. One musical that I was thinking about recently, and this is probably going to cause a lot of people to sigh, because you probably have heard of this musical, or maybe you haven't. You've heard of Grease, right? But how many of you in chat, or how many of you that are even watching on VOD, have ever heard of Grease 2? The bastard sequel to the original Grease. Now, fun story. I've told this story before on stream, but maybe for those of you who have missed it, originally, my IRL name was supposed to be Michael before I was born, because I have told this story before. For anybody that's heard it before, I'm sorry that you're getting a retread on it, but this is for more so VOD watchers and new people who have maybe never heard. Oh, we just made a mistake because I was button mashing. My name was originally going to be Michael. It's not Michael. I will keep that. It's definitely not Michael. But when before I was born, Mama Dread and Sister Dread were really heavily into the movie Grease 2. Now, Grease 2 is a kind of an interesting story, right? So, it's actually a direct sequel to the original Grease, in which one of the main characters, Michael, is actually the cousin of Sandy. Most people will remember her, Sandy. You know what? You better shape up. You're the one that I want. I won't sing because I'm not going to butcher the song, but everybody pretty much knows. You know, Olivia Newton-John, may she rest in peace, played the character. So Michael is actually her cousin from Australia, which I think is kind of funny because, believe it or not, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the late, great Olivia Newton-John, but she was actually from Australia herself. So it's kind of like they were giving a little bit of a nod to her in the film. So he is basically Sandy's cousin, He's a foreign exchange student for all intents and purposes, it seems like, at least in the story. I haven't seen it in a couple years, so it might be a little bit vague, so don't butcher me if I don't get every plot point 100% spot on. So he's the new kid in school, he's the new kid in town, and he immediately from the beginning, he's kind of like sort of bullied and chastised by the Greasers, you know? The T-Birds, who are part of that like random gang that was the original gang from Greece. And the girls are the Ladybirds, if I remember correctly. And they're the ones with the pink jackets, for those you don't know. So Michael automatically becomes smitten with Michelle Pfeiffer's character. Michelle Pfeiffer plays Sandy. She's one of the pink ladies. And Michael does his very best, I suppose, to try to impress Stephanie, because he really likes Stephanie, and he's got, I guess, I don't know what you would call it. He fancies her, I suppose. I mean, that's at least the nice way to put it. And in trying to, like, open a dialogue with her, what ends up happening is she really completely blows him off, because Michael is not Sandy, it's not Sandy, excuse me, Stephanie's type. I'm sorry, because I'm playing, like, Diablo IV and I have to lock in at some point. She is only interested in bad boy biker guys. So, throughout the movie, in the very beginning, he's trying to, I guess, like, become friendly with her and stuff. And he really is, like, at a loss for what he could do to really impress this girl. And then, whoops, one of the people who was actually, like, one of the original characters from the original Grease, because she didn't graduate, because she had some stuff that was going on, and then she, like, dropped out and stuff and didn't graduate with the rest of them. She's in this movie, if I recall correctly. She kind of tries to help him out, and what ends up happening is Michael, being the nerd that he is, starts doing other people's homework so that he can raise the funds so that he can buy a motorcycle to be able to learn to ride a motorcycle, because Stephanie is obsessed with just bad boys who ride motorcycles. There's a song that she sings in the movie, actually, which is, "I want a cool rider." I won't sing the song itself because it would be terrible, but it's like she basically describes her dream guy, right? And Michael does everything in his power. He does the homework of our people to get this motorcycle. So he buys a used motorcycle, if I remember correctly, and then he has to actually fix up the motorcycle. And then the poop kicker, because you know Dread doesn't like to curse here on stream, is he also, on top of that, has to learn to ride the motorcycle. So he learns to ride the motorcycle, and for whatever reason, I'm not quite sure why he decided to do this, he keeps his identity secret. I guess he's trying to, like, play games with Stephanie at first and doesn't really want her to know that he's, like, the biker guy, because I guess he's afraid that she's basically going to reject him. So he assumes this, like, mysterious rider thing, to the point that there's a song every time that he comes on screen of "Who's that guy?" I won't sing the song because I will butcher it again. This is not time for me to do a karaoke stream. This guy here is kind of carrying the whole thing. I would normally move out of the way, but because the fact I really want, like, some stuff in terms of the seasonal reward, that's why I'm just kind of staying here. I feel like maybe I might have been contributing there, maybe a little bit. So getting back to what we were talking about before, what ends up happening is, eventually in the movie, Michael's character does learn to ride the motorcycle, becomes a cool biker dude, that then Stephanie starts to kind of fall for. There's a big climax at the end of the film where it looks like his character falls off a cliff and's died because there's, like, this rival biker gang, and he's trying to, like, you know, spar with them, I guess, with the motorcycle, I guess you could say. And it seems like he's fallen off the cliff and stuff, right? And then at the end of the movie, again, my memory's a little bit foggy because it's been kind of years since I've seen this movie. His identity is revealed. And Stephanie is very, very shocked at the fact that Michael turned out to be the cool rider. And you would think, I guess if it's real life, probably Stephanie's character would have probably rejected Michael and been like, "How dare you lie to me about things, that you were actually this person all along," and stuff. But, you know, in typical musical movie fashion, she is shocked at first that he is the writer character, but she actually comes to, you know, terms with the fact and realizes that that nerdy guy that she really didn't like at the film, had done a lot of things in his power to change things about himself that was to her liking, I suppose, right? And I had this interesting conversation about this movie earlier on when I was speaking to Sister Dread on the phone, because I was talking about it because I wanted to refresh my memory a little bit about it, because she used to play this movie non-stop when I was growing up for a while, to the point that I remember the movie so vaguely that I do remember some of the songs. I just don't want to sing the songs because I'm a terrible singer, as we all know from the world's worst karaoke films, right? Or not film streams, excuse me, because since I'm in the middle of the game, I'm trying to focus and lock in here quite a bit. I will love my words sometimes. I swear, English is... I do speak English. But when you're obviously doing high content like this, remember I'm only Torment 10, but I can do 12. It becomes a bit of a challenge, to say the very least. So, you know, at the end of the movie, he ironically changed himself so much, he gets the girl and stuff. And I was telling my sister, I was like, don't you feel in a way like he changed himself so much to be a person that he actually wasn't, to be able to impress the girl? But she pointed out to me that he was pretty unhappy with himself as a character in the film. So that all those changes that he did actually did things to kind of improve his life. And not only his life, but he was able to get the girl that he really liked in the end. And I was like, huh, you know what? I never actually really thought about it in that terms of context. I always felt like he changed himself just to kind of impress a girl, and that he didn't really live up to who he really was as a human being. So it's an interesting debate for anybody who's seen Priest 2. But I thought it was kind of cute in a way, that with the message of it, because when you really think about it, sometimes I guess it is kind of good to change as a human being for a person that you really care about and a person that you like, whether it's like a partner, a girlfriend. I don't know if somebody you're trying to court necessarily. That's my only thing, because I've always felt like if somebody doesn't really like you for who you are, maybe that's not a good sign. Because if you have to change so much about yourself just to be with somebody, is that going to make you happy? I wonder. That's a very interesting point. But I suppose if you want to change, because it's a change that you're trying to do for the better, and that person's pointing out stuff to you that they want you to change maybe for the better, that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? That's how I've been looking at it, you know? So it's an interesting theme of Priest 2. You know, so I was talking to Sister Dread. I almost said her name by accident. That would have been bad. I swear I don't do stuff like that on stream. But yeah, you know, so it was kind of a cute message. I know some of you are probably like, why aren't you doing the war plan stuff just yet? I'm trying to get a level up on the Glint of Hope. So that way, when I level up on the Glint of Hope, I will have like a material that I can use to potentially roll the dagger that I'm looking for in the cube. If not, like, we gotta continue to try. You know, so I think it was kind of cute. And I think, like, honestly, from my point of view, if you really do like somebody and maybe there's something, I don't know, negative about yourself that maybe they're trying to point out, as long as they're doing it in a very, I don't know what I would say, game, what are you trying to do to me here? I think it's kind of okay to do things of that nature, you know, if it's a good change and it's something that you really want to do. So it's kind of cute, right? And I think if you love somebody, you're willing to do certain little things, like changes that are good for you, you know? And I think if a person, like, really cares, they're going to point out stuff maybe that's, you know, they're concerned about you, right? So maybe they'll do something to point stuff out, right? You know, and those type of changes, I think, is actually kind of good to change for your partner, your loved one, or somebody that maybe you like, I suppose, right? It's an interesting debate. I wonder how any of you feel about it. Definitely, if you're watching on VOD, I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Definitely sound off in the comments about that. Another musical that I like, and I've mentioned this before, is when I was in school, particularly elementary school. Some people consider that grade school. 7th grade, for me. I had a teacher that was obsessed with the Phantom of the Opera. So much so that we spent about 2 months studying the Phantom of the Opera play, in and out, the themes of it, everything, the characters of it. We read the book adaptation of it, because there's a book adaptation. We just covered everything. She showed us the musical version of it, because back then they had, you know, recorded versions of stage play. We actually went even to see the Phantom in the Opera. So I actually really enjoy the Phantom in the Opera, but when I was thinking about it now, like, you know, the Phantom, on top of that, is one of those characters that's like, I don't know, some people say he's a tragic character, some people say he's a terrible human being. Like, I think the Phantom went about trying to, or definitely Christy in the wrong way, because when you think about it, he basically abducts this young woman that is a very talented singer to force her to sing and stuff, and on top of that, hypnotizes her, some might even say gaslights her into thinking that she's actually in love with him, as opposed to, like, using, you know, noble types of things to. And I don't know, like, in the play, he comes off as a horrible, horrible, horrible human being. But then if you see, like, the film adaptation of it, that was with, what's his name? I'm trying to remember. Gerard Butler, I think, was the one that played him in that film. Fun fact about that, I actually watched that film on Christmas Day. It was a very, 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 very late showing of that film on Christmas Day. I think I watched it on HBO because I didn't go to the movie theaters to see it, because I didn't think it was going to be necessarily a good film adaptation. And I'm going to just be honest with all of you. I think it's very rare that we actually get good film adaptations of Broadway plays and plays in general and musicals. 95% of the time, usually they have to cut content, because either you can't adapt it for screen because it would make the musicals way too long, or the other half of the time they try to do things to get like a PG rating for a musical that would probably get a rating that would be much, much differently, and they cut things to kind of be, I don't want to say culturally sensitive, because that's not the term anymore, but back then they would try to be very sensitive things. So the movie tries to, like, really downplay some of the terrible stuff that the Phantom did. You know, because the Phantom, you know, was killing people and hanging people with a noose in the freaking, you know, play. But in the movie, they do it a little bit more nuance of it, where he's kind of, for the most part, like, knocking out people. And nobody really, there is a couple of people that die, but most of the time they do it kind of like in a, I don't want to say they Disney-fied it, because it wasn't a Disney film to my recollection, but they do things to kind of keep that PG rating. And if you've seen, like, some of the older Phantom of the Opera stuff, like, I'm talking the 1930, is it 38? It's the black and white film. Like, that, for all intents and purposes, it's almost a horror film than it is anything else. So, you know, they've done things to change the character up quite a bit. But it's still one of my favorite musicals. You know, even though the character himself is. The one change that I do like in the film version of it, I don't recall it being in the musical, is that at the very end of the film, and this is a spoiler, so for people who haven't seen the film, I think it's a decent watch. I'm not going to say it's a great watch. I do recommend Grease 2, ironically, as well, because I would love for people to watch it and give me their thoughts on it, because I would love to see how they view it compared to how I view it in terms of some of the subject matter of it. But with Phantom of the Opera, if you do watch it, I'm sorry for anybody that's spoilers, because this movie's pretty old at this point, so I don't think it's a spoiler. The Phantom in the film version of it, because, like, the film starts with Christie's grave, because she's passed away. It's been so many years since the events of the film, and, like, the Phantom is trying to remember the events that actually had happened, and that's, like, basically the whole movie's a flashback, for those of you who don't know. So at the end of the film, or it's not the Phantom, it's Gerard Butler's character that plays, because I'm sorry, it's been a while, and because I'm playing Diablo, I'm trying not to die as I did just their hard content. Sometimes it's hard to kind of go back and forth with conversations with these particular things. We can still get this. I want to get more glints of hope. I'm greedy. Women will dread thing. But yeah, so Gerard Butler's character is the one that visits her at the grave, because I think he's married her. And is there somebody else here and that's why I'm dying? Because it looks like there's somebody else here killing things, and it's not like an AoE effect. There is, so I actually didn't die. There was some inconsiderate person that just came out of nowhere and started blowing things up, which caused me to die, which is my biggest pet peeve with Diablo 4. Because I probably would have been fine there had I been able to see explosions, because I know, yeah, the usual. We have a person who wants to be the main character right now. So much so that they're kind of, again, ruining my experience, which is why I've been kind of, like, very determined to Yeah, this is like basically ruining my experience right now, which is I don't like. Because again, I have to be very careful. I need this for the seasonal mechanic, but because I can't see everything because they're just blasting away nonstop, I can't actually see most of the AoE. And I know some people will be like skill issue. It's not really a skill issue as it is like a convenient issue. If I'm standing here and you come here to start explaining the characters, I can't see anything because look at everything that's going on. I have to then reposition my character to see what's going on. It's annoying. This actually is, for anybody who ever has not played Diablo IV, doing this is considered bad etiquette against most old school Diablo players that have been playing for a long time. Don't do what this character just did on the screen, because you will most likely piss the person off and get them upset. So much so I burped my train of thought. But yeah, Gerard Butler's character is the one that married Christie. The film starts in the beginning, where he is at her grave and stuff. At the end of the film, once he's left her grave, this is the one change that I kind of like. You see that the Phantom comes on screen, and he leaves, like, a grave. I thought it was kind of cute that after all the differences and stuff, the Phantom, even though he went about it the very wrong way, actually did really care about Christie. You know, so... Or Christine, excuse me. Because I know I'm, like, very all over the place today. My brain is kind of mush. So it's you know, a kind of an interesting change. I do like that one. Or musicals that I love, Little Shop of Horrors. Because... that's unfortunate there. Rick Moranis' character, Seymour, for those of you who don't know, plays basically a guy that lives in the slums, Skid Row. Basically, which is supposed to be a depiction of New York City, way back in the day. On Skid Row! So Rick Moranis' character is doing everything to be able to escape basically New York City, and he stumbles upon a plant, Audrey 2 that he names it, there's a plant from outer space, and it turns out that the plant actually is a sentient plant that only will feed on human blood. And Seymour is in love with one of the female lead characters in the film, and you know, he's doing everything to impress her, and she has always liked Seymour, but she's with like this abusive boyfriend that's played with, at least in the film version, Steve Martin, who's a very great underrated actor that a lot of people don't give him credit for the amount of range that he has, because he plays serious characters really well. Anybody who's seen Father of the Bride will understand that. On top of that, there's a movie, it's a very old movie by the name of Roxanne, that's a really good film too, that doesn't get as much credit. It's not like a great movie again, but it's a decent movie, like when you compare it to some of the movie slop that comes out in this day and age, because there's a lot of movie slop that comes out. You know, so in that one, Seymour's trying to, like, lets fame get to his head a little bit, in a way, and he's using the fame so he can just, like, escape his fate and his reality, because he doesn't want to spend his whole life living in New York City, living in the slums and stuff. And I think that's kind of an important message, but he, you know, is willing to chop up people to feed it to a plant. So he goes about things the wrong way. The one thing I don't generally like in that version of Little Shop of Horrors, which is like the 80s version of it, is that in that version of the film, he is not punished in the end. He has a happy ending. He's able to get the girl, move away, start a family and stuff. But if you watch the original Broadway version of it, or play version of it, or you watch the original Roger Corman film, you will notice that in that one, where Jack Nicholson is actually the one that plays Seymour, that at the end of the film, he's accused of all the murders, and they're pinning it on him, and he actually ends up running into the plant and gets killed. You know what? And that's his punishment for doing all the heinous stuff. Like, he ends up being killed and becomes part of the plant. And it's like his comeuppance for being a terrible human being and, you know, trying to get whatever he wanted in fame. That is not in the 80s version. The 80s version, again, kind of like, I don't want to say it Disney-fies it, but it kind of does, because it wants, you know, he gets away with it, and then on top of getting away with, like, a whole bunch of gruesome murders where he fed it to the plant, he gets the girl at the end and has, like, a family and stuff. Kind of a backwards thing, but I do love the musical itself, because some of the themes, not chopping people up and feeding them to a space plant, even if those people were terrible people, you don't do that. Dreadknights. I do think it's a pretty good, you know, it's a cute film in the sense that he's trying to change his fate because he lives somewhere that he doesn't want to live. And he's just trying to, you know, get out of it and get out of a not so good situation. But he does it in just like the worst way possible by feeding to the plant. So it's a cute film. I like the 82 version because that's the one that's the musical version, and that's the one that I distinctly remember. I do watch it every so often. Last time I watched it was a long time ago, at least like 5 years ago. It's one of those films that I've debated doing a movie watch-along for on the channel, but like I've mentioned before many times, I know there's some people who do enjoy when I do those movie watch-alongs, but I've just been trying to avoid doing them because I'm not a fan of doing react content, because I'm not saying that anybody that does it is necessarily lazy and stuff, but I just kind of feel like it's not, you know, quality content. At least if I'm playing a game, I'm trying to give you these conversations. And again, I'm not knocking anybody who does watch-alongs. Keep that in mind. That's not... Is there somebody here interrupting me again? Yeah, there is. Oh my goodness, man. Everybody. Always today. Interruptions, interruptions, interruptions. Somebody's trying out an auto AFK build, but the problem is AFKing. I can't see what's going on. I can't see what's going on. I gotta move over here. Let's see. This will probably be the last glimpse of hope I do. Just because we're getting at the halfway point, I'm going to start opening some of these things. Like, again, I can't see anything, so I got to wait here. See, how's stream quality, by the way, to these guys? Because I have my phone that I'm using as a second experience, but unfortunately it doesn't look like it's working. So I'm trying to... You know, I'm in the middle of the game, I can't really fix it. So I apologize. So if somebody's chatting, my apologies. I don't have a second screen. It takes a while when I'm not, like, in hardcore action right now. Because, again, hard content, I could potentially die. Again, there's so much anger there, I just gotta move away and see. Okay, good. We might do some pit runs today, too. Okay. Let's see. Okay, good. Alright, nice. Okay, good. Hold on. I think we got him. Okay, we did. There's a lot of people there. There were so many people being main character there. Oh, there's another one here? Were there two of them? I'll just save the day, I guess. You're welcome. I gotta move away now, because I'm tired of people following me. I gotta be honest with you. So, I don't know. Here. Okay. Let's see if I go get the chest, and then I'll check on these guys in a second. Let's see. Again, when I'm in the game, I can't really see those things, because I'm full screen. So... Okay. And after this, we may take a quick break to see how everything's going. Okay, good, good, good. I'm trying to get some chest open, but the problem is so many people. Alright, I'm gonna open a couple chests. Why? I need the keys. We'll open the chest. And then after opening the chest, the next thing that we're gonna do is... Let me get these experience orbs. There's a key over here. Okay. Get the key. Get the keys, because these I can use. Here. I'll go back to talking about movies and musicals in a second once we have a little bit of peace of mind. Because this is kind of one of those things today. Where there's just too many people trying to be John main character. It's fine though, because it's Diablo, right? I suspect there's not going to be as many people on Seasonal Realm after tomorrow. I'm not going to be playing it tomorrow though. I'm going to be playing Don't Starve Together instead. Give me 1 second to take out these enemies. Yeah, so, you know, Little Shop of Horrors is our favorite musical of mine. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which we have watched as a movie watch-along here on the channel before as well. Some people would be like, what the hell are you talking about? Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is a musical? Yes, it is. There's a whole bunch of singing in that film. A whole bunch of singing. tons of singing. Every time one of Ramona's exes appears on screen, there's a whole musical number, whether it's guitars or stuff. So that's a favorite musical of mine because obviously it makes video game references. Sweeney Todd. I haven't seen the Broadway version of it in a while, the play version. So the last time I've seen Sweeney Todd, any rendition of it, was the Johnny Depp movie, which there were a lot of people who didn't like it. I thought it was pretty good. Okay, granted, they couldn't adapt everything that they wanted to in Sweeney Todd, because again, like I mentioned before, when it comes to film adaptations, there are sometimes things that if you were to include them exactly how they go in a certain thing, they'd be like, no, that is too dark, we cannot do that for a film adaptation. So they had to kind of, you know, scale back a little bit. Because the thing is too, like with movies that a lot of people don't know, is that there's something that they do that's called test screenings. And in test screenings, if something's a little bit too much for like the audiences that they show it to, studios will either cut that part of it, the film, so, and then either go back and reshoot it. So I don't know, particularly with Sweeney Todd, if it did get some reshoots, but I recall hearing something about like the original script that they did was just way too much, which caused the studio to be like, no, you can absolutely not do it that way. And they had to kind of do, as I like to call it again, kind of Disney-fied it, right? So you Disney-fy it, and you kind of make it a little bit less gruesome and a little bit less this, and you cut it for time and stuff. And that's kind of the movie that you get. This is kind of why. Anybody here fans of the film adaptation of Hamlet? The one with Kenneth, oh my goodness, I'm blanking on his last name. If I butcher this, I'm sorry, but most people who are actually into this stuff are gonna know. Kenneth Branagh, I think is it? Because I don't want to say his name wrong, but you know who I'm talking about. He was in the Orient Express. He adapts just about every play into a film. I love his version of Hamlet. I think it's a great film, and I have people that are friends of mine that complain about it because they're like, Dread, it is way too long. It is a 4.5-hour movie. Yeah, but he didn't cut anything. The one thing about him as a director, screenwriter, etc. is he does not cut things usually out of his film. He will keep it as faithful as he can to the play, to the musical, to this, to that. And I appreciate that. He hasn't done a film since, I think, The Orient Express, because I think, like, most people say that The Orient Express bombed tremendously, and even people were angry with the film adaptation because it did kind of adapt things a little bit too much. But I love his version of Hamlet. I remember I spent a couple of months just in one of my film classes that I had, where we had to just analyze the film non-stop, ins and out, because I had a film professor, I don't want to say his name because I'm not trying to dox him, that was just in love with like Hamlet and stuff. So I'm ironically super familiar with Hamlet. It's kind of funny because anytime like somebody references Hamlet with me, I do have a bit of like PTSD from it, because I've studied the film in and out to the point that it's like, oh, you know, Ophelia is such a tragic character, and it is Hamlet's fault, right? So it's like, it's Hamlet's fault, because Hamlet was so stark-raving mad because he wanted revenge and everything that he really didn't realize how much damage he was doing to Ophelia as a character, which does anger me, generally. You know, I don't know, like, I always felt like Hamlet should have been better to Ophelia, because he made a lot of mistakes blinded from things. You know, he should have done better to make Ophelia happy. And that was kind of the consequences of his actions, because we all know what happens to Hamlet in the end. You know, if you've never read or seen Hamlet, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's not necessarily a happy ending, to say that, at the very least, Dreadknights. But I loved, like, that adaptation of it. The Orient Express is not, like, I don't know, the movie version of it kind of annoys me. Because I don't think necessarily... there are certain people who are acting in the film that are okay. Like, I think Daisy Ridley plays a pretty good character for what she has to work with in terms of the script. But then there's other characters in it that are just there, and it's like, why are you here? You're giving, like, cheesy one-liners and stuff that it's not It's not good. It's not a good film. You know? It's not great. I'm sorry, because I know there's probably people in chat will be like, how dare you say that? But, you know, I've seen it a couple times. And every time that it comes on, like, television or it's available on a streaming service, I go back to take a peek at it to see if maybe I've, like, just misjudged it too harshly. And that's not actually the case. But most of the time, it's just like, no. Every time I watch it, I feel like the film gets worse for me. I hate to be, like, that type of guy. I'm trying to get keys in case people are, like, wondering why am I doing this. Because I'm trying to get a specific mythic. And the only way to get that specific mythic is through doing this. Okay, this is lagging a bit. Stream is not lagging now, so that's fine. I don't mind a little bit of game lag. Okay. Wait on this. So yeah, you know. There's that. Art musicals, I can't really think of too many off the top of my head outside of those. Like, one of my favorite films of all time, and I have told this before, and this is another thing that we have watched for a movie watch-along, is I am not obsessed necessarily, but I love High Fidelity, because I think it's a great film. I think it's a film that any person, whether you're a man, a woman, a they, them, should watch that, because I think it's, like, quintessential, just because it's a nice thing, because it's a guy, basically, who's broken up with his girlfriend at this point, and he's trying to go over, like, his top 5 breakups of all time. And throughout the film, he goes and revisits some of his girlfriends, trying to get, like, some answers as to how and why the relationships didn't work out for him. And I think what I like about that film is that he eventually comes to the realization that the person he broke up with was the person that was always there for him and was very supportive, and they actually loved his girlfriend so much to the point that he does everything to go back with her, and realizes in that film that he was actually kind of an asshole. I'm sorry, I don't like to curse, but that's the case. He was an asshole to her. He did a lot of things in the film, and he wasn't there for her as much as he probably should have been. And he kind of learns the error of his ways. And he starts to, like, turn over a new leaf. And they end up getting back together in the film. It's a good movie because, like, they're broken up in the film for the majority of it. But they still kind of, like, constantly are gravitating towards each other. And are still having, like, dialogues despite the fact. Because the thing about it is, like, the character... John Cusack plays the main character. His character is always trying to check up on her because he's just not come to terms with the breakup. And her character is kind of interesting because she's constantly having a dialogue. Like, she moves in with this guy called Ian in the film. And every day she's calling her ex to, like, check up on him and stuff. And I think that's kind of sweet when you really think about it in a way, because it's like she's over the relationship, but she's not, like, really emotional. And eventually towards the end of the film, they actually do get back together after a big, like, apology and thing. I think it's nice in a way, because I think they both kind of made mistakes in the film when you really look about more John Cusack than anything else, and they come to terms with it. It's a good film too because it talks about, like, music and stuff. I'm gonna fix the game in a second when I go back to base, because I want to maybe reset the internet a sec just to see. I mean, I could also bump down the settings a little bit, but I don't think it's settings. I doubt it's the server. There's a little bit of... I don't know if you could notice, but my and there's a little bit of input lag. But I want to wait, but let me do this first. And that should give me enough glints of hope so then we could start rolling some daggers. So that's a pretty cool movie. Like, there's a lot of movies I've been meaning to watch, but I just haven't had the time to do it. Like, I've been meaning to rewatch Super Mario Galaxy movie, but I haven't had time to. I mentioned I haven't seen Ghostbusters, the sequel to Afterlife, which is Frozen Empire, and I call myself a Ghostbusters fan, and I haven't seen Afterlife, or not Afterlife, excuse me, Frozen Empire, which I've been meaning to, because I heard Frozen Empire is not good, it's just okay, but I want to see it because it's, like, one of the only films that has the original Ghostbusters in it. You know? There's that. You know, I've been trying to watch that movie. There's, what other movies are there? I've been trying to watch. Some people have some people have recommended to me Weapons as a film. I don't know if I personally would be interested in it. My niece has watched it a couple times and says it's a very good film. And I should check it out because I like horror anthology films. And that I don't know what I'm missing if I don't watch this film. Let's do this Glint of Hope. This will be the last one I do. Hopefully I can finish it within the 10-minute mark. And then after we do this, we'll go on to the next thing of farming. I'm also doing this in case we get, like, good drops. But right now, so far, we haven't gotten anything that's a significant upgrade. Honestly, the only thing I'm looking for is mythic at this point. I can bump this up, and then, like, we have to upgrade our glyphs so that we can push, like, T12 more comfortably. So I have a couple of Ts that are available right now. I have up to T4, 12 unlocked, but I can't push pit a certain level, which is what I'm trying to do via Yep non-stop. Alright, cool. So there's that. There's a lot of movies too. Like some people have recommended the movie Obsession to me, but I don't even know what it's about. But everybody keeps saying this film is so good, you have to watch it, Dread. You have to. I was in Riker's stream earlier because he was playing Diablo 4 over on Twitch. If you don't know who Riker is, he's a great Diablo 4 content creator. He also does a lot of like ARPGs in general. Very chill dude. Good head on his shoulders, been doing Diablo content for years and years at this point. He was talking about it, and he was pointing out a couple of things about it too, and so it was like really good, and that it's one of those subtle things. He called it a horror film, so it's kind of, I'm intrigued. Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, they technically did do a film, Obsession, before. It was with a prominent black male actor at the time. I forget his name, I'm sorry, because it's been a while. And it was that girl that played in, oh my god, Final Destination 2. And she basically what happens in the film is the guy is married to his wife, right? It's called Obsession. This is not the Obsession that everybody's watching now, unless they did a remake of it. And in the film, he is married to his wife and stuff and has an affair with a white woman. Because he's black. I don't want to make it a black and white thing, but this is actually the movie itself. And what ends up happening is he decides that he has a conscience during the affair and breaks it off. And what ends up happening is the white girl just, like, stalks the crap out of him. So much so that he stalks the wife and stuff. And, like, there's a whole big conflict in the end, and I won't spoil it and stuff. And I remember that movie, Obsession, because that was a movie I saw. I was like, what the hell did I just watch, man? So I wonder if, like, the new Obsession movie is based off that one, and maybe it's just, like, a soft reboot or something. Anybody who's seen the film, don't spoil it for me, but... because eventually I'm planning to watch it. I don't know if Sister Dread has seen it. I forgot to ask Sister Dread. Because Sister Dread watches a lot of movies too, but the thing about it is with Sister Dread is so angry at me, right? Because, as I mentioned, I do work in film and television stuff. I am a stick in the mud when it comes to continuity in films. So I always, when I'm watching a film, will look at a car to see if the insurance sticker that you put on cars and, like, the license plate is right, and if, like, it's a time period piece, like if it's from the 60s, I want to make sure if the film itself, like, is using the right pieces of furniture or the right this. Like, I will never forget, and everybody knows at this point Game of Thrones, right? Everybody's familiar with Game of Thrones, like the biggest continuity error of all time, where there's a Starbucks coffee cup in it. I always am looking for things like that in films and television shows and stuff. And it drives me nuts because this is something that maybe not a lot of people know. In film and television, there is somebody on set that is supposed to be in charge of continuity things. Their job is to survey the film set and survey the shots before they actually happen to make sure everything is within continuity. And if it's not within continuity, somebody hasn't done their job. So I don't know how in something like Game of Thrones that, you know, a Starbucks coffee cup was able to get by. Like, I still am, like, so confused as to how that even slips through, because there had to be a continuity person on set for that. I refuse to believe, with the amount of money that that show was making and the amount of money that HBO put into it, that there wouldn't, you you know, be a that somebody didn't point out the Starbucks coffee cup before screaming action. Like, how does the director even not notice that? Like, I have done things in the directing sphere, Dreadknights. This is something I don't really talk about. And even though half the time it's not my job, I always double and triple check the shots to make sure that there's nothing in the way. I'll tell you this, I don't really want people looking up stuff that I've done, because it's available on the internet, but there was this one particular shoot that I did. And I came in for it, and it was a project that was an indie project. And during the indie project, they were working in somebody's apartment, right? And in the apartment, there was one time where they were just trying to get this done as quick as possible because it was only a one-day shoot, right? And I had somebody on set that was supposed to kind of function like a continuity person. And there was a shot, and we had a great take, and I remember seeing that there was a Coca-Cola bottle that was on set for that. And when I looked at the Coca-Cola bottle, I got furious, because it was like one of the best takes that we had done all day. It was really hard to bring emotion out of the actress, because the actress had like a really hard time becoming like unhinged and crying. And we needed her to be like a completely mentally unstable character for the role, right? And she didn't do that. She didn't do that at all. It was hard to get it out of her, and we finally had gotten the take, and guess what happened, Dreadknights? The Coca-Cola bottle was in the way, so I had to spend on set at least another 5 hours trying to channel that same performance so that it would work for the short film. Now, keep in mind, this was not a short film that I wrote. This was not only a short film that I directed. And it was just kind of one of those things that, to this day, it's just like why it's so important to always check your shots for continuity. Because if you don't check for continuity, things like that happen, and then people always will point it out. Like, there's horror movies that I've seen, like Puppet Master. It's a terrible movie. I don't recommend that for people to watch. Well, the first 5 Puppet Masters are okay if you're into, like, sci-fi horror films. The rest of them are not good. And one sec here. One sec. So I'm trying to spawn this thing before we go to the next part, because I know, why are we just doing this? I want keys, as many keys as possible. This is one of those games I can blast. I just want this chest because it's the last chest on the map. And then we don't get blocked here. I will focus on the next thing, I promise. Or I'll die there, because I looked away at the screen. That's not your fault. That's my fault, Dreadknights. Alright, so let's see here. So yeah, that's why you always check on continuity and stuff of that nature. You know, so there's other things too I've done. I don't know if I should talk about this, but I did do something that's in the universe of Night of the Living Dead. Unfortunately, I wanted to extend that project a little bit further, but we were never able to. And unfortunately, one of the actors I wanted to work with for it, the late and great Tony Todd, who some of you might know from the horror film Candyman. How do I get here? It's not this way? Okay. Unfortunately, untimely passed away a couple of years back. The last film he did was Final Destination 6, which I think was called Bloodlines. Yeah, Bloodlines. But he originally was very interested in working on the project with me, and unfortunately passed away before we were able to finish and finalize it, because this is a thing that a lot of people don't realize whenever it comes to a creative project. Movies are very expensive to make, so a lot of times it's very hard to get the funding that you need, particularly for them, especially when they're like on an independent side. Anything that you have to fund yourself to make and create from a production standpoint can run you, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes even millions of dollars, depending on the scale of it. So I was able to film a whole bunch of like viral shorts for Night of the Living Dead. In fact, we worked with a makeup artist that was responsible for doing stuff in actual Walking Dead. That I will admit was probably one of the most difficult people that I worked with. Because they really, like, they were on set to do some makeup, and they did the makeup effects for us, And then we had paid upfront for the makeup effects because they were like really like, you know, super talented and stuff. And what ended up happening is like afterwards, apparently in the fee it was included that some of the actresses' makeup was supposed to be included in it. So, you know, they're basically trying to heckle us for more money, and I was like, okay, fine, we'll give you the extra $50 that you want for it. That's not a problem. And we asked them, how would you like to get paid for this? And they particularly wanted it to be PayPal. So we PayPal'd her the money, and they got angry because we put it down as a regular PayPal transaction, which is the way you're supposed to do it in film and television. This was not like an independent project, this was a film thing. So for taxes purposes, I have to put down that I paid the person who wanted the extra fee in PayPal, so that they have to, you know, they have to pay the taxes. It has to be reported. And they got furious over it. For it. And they were pretty difficult to work with, so, you know. And I remember that experience because that experience was one of those things that I was really excited for it. I was very passionate about it because it's something that I had written. I also directed it. There was a lot of people that are on board. I met somebody that wrote a book about Night of the Living Dead, for those of you who don't know. It just never, you know, came to fruition, unfortunately. And I never pursued it again, because again, like, Tony passed away, and then I was like, well, if I'm not doing it with Tony, I wasn't really interested in doing it with somebody else. So I didn't really do that, and I was pursuing a nerf independent film that I completely wrote and stuff, but okay, we've done there. So we're gonna go back to base now, because I do want to check OBS. So there was that project. I wrote it completely. Its script is done. I just haven't really put it through the processes of what gets a movie made. So the thing about it is, like, how do I explain this to people who've never done this type of stuff? Making a film, particularly an independent film, is a lot like trying to do VTubing in a way, right? So when you do VTubing, you need a VTuber model, right? You'll either need a model like I have, or you'll need a model that's a live 2D model, right? Live 2D models can run you anywhere in the 8,000, 10,000. Sometimes now people, because of how popular they've gotten, you're looking at 15,000, right? Then you're looking at artwork and stuff. The artwork, you know, artists charge quite a lot of money just even for a Twitter icon. You know, you're looking at anything from like 200 or 300 for a little icon, emotes. Those things run you quite up, right? So the point is, like, you know, VTubing itself, like, and then if you add on 3D lives, and then you add on or stuff of that nature, all those things are a lot of money because you need 3D studios and stuff. Film is similar to that, right? So like in a film, you have this script, but then you have to go to movie studios to be able to pitch this script. And when you pitch it to the movie studios, a lot of the times right now, what they will do is they'll look at your original script, and even if it's a great script, they're like, great, but we can't move forward with this because we are only interested in making film adaptations of novels, plays, musicals, superhero films, sequels, remakes that are based on original films that are technically sequels, and that's all the things that are getting made in terms of the Gates meetings. So then what ends up happening is you're stuck with the script, right? And you can't get any of the funding via any of the studios, because then the studios want to make those movies. They just want to make superhero films and stuff that are going to make like a bunch of money in the box office for summer, right? So if it's not something they think they can turn into a summer blockbuster, they're probably not going to look at it. And then when it comes to like particularly horror films, because this was a horror anthology film that I had written, called, I don't want to tell the title because then somebody might steal the title. And it was a really good thing because I passed it along to many people, and a lot of people loved it. What ended up happening was I kind of just shelved it because there's just not really a good way to get it. Because like going through Kickstarter is kind of hard. Because again, if you're like not like a super famous director and you don't have like a credit that's like something on, you know, like a very big high production that's like Hollywood, big, I'm talking. Like we're talking A-lister type of thing. Chances are your independent film's not going to get you know, funded via Kickstarter and stuff. And it's hard, right? Because it's like If you think VTuber projects are expensive to make a film, you need like at least, at least 500,000. We're talking maybe even 800,000, and that's paying mildly for a very low budget film, mind you, to be able to make it. So, without getting proper funding, it's just been sitting there. I can't really do much with it, but I did write it. But again, funding is just like a pain in the butt. It's easier to fund my VTuber stuff at this point than it would be to fund that film. I don't know if one day, maybe in the future, I would probably be fine with putting that out in the open for people to read. I don't know. I gotta be honest with you, Dreadknights. I would probably have to. 1 second. I would have to probably put it through the ringer and put watermarks on it. Maybe at some point, if I ever decide that I'm not gonna try to take another crack at it, I might put it out there. Maybe. I don't know. I've always wanted, I gotta be honest with you, there's somebody I always would have liked to have read the script, but I never had the, I don't know, I never had the, what's the word I'm looking for? Courage? No, courage isn't the word. Bar, I guess I didn't want to bar them with that because I didn't think they would find it necessarily interesting. Like I said, there's a lot of things about me that people don't necessarily know about me because I don't share that. Like, how many of you would know that I've actually done things in film and television, right? Like, not many people. How many people would think that I actually have written scripts and stuff? Not many. How many people? I'm gonna hold on to this because I want to see if it's a significant upgrade to what I have concurrently. How many people would know, like, half the things about musicals and the type of musicals I like, or the fact I was almost named Michael from Grease 2, and then I actually like that film, as well as the Earth Against Statue. Not too many people. How many people would know that I, like, really like Phantom the Opera? Not too many people, These are the things, man. So, I kind of wanted to talk about that stuff, and I probably turned a whole bunch of people off the stream just by yapping about that type of stuff. But I wanted to talk about that because I think it's kind of important sometimes for people to realize that although I play video games, there are sides to me that maybe not a lot of people get to see all the time. Life on Hit is terrible, but I have 4 stars on that. I don't know if there's anything that I could do with that. I was hoping this was going to be better than what I have. But even if we upgrade it and play around, like if we play around with that modifier, it's not really going to do too much for us. Let me test something out for science before we do anything else to it, I promise. Let's see, we're going to put this here. We're going to add an affix to it. Hope it's good. I don't feel like that did anything, do you? Let's upgrade it to this. I'm gonna see if I re-roll... I think this is not good to begin with, but I want just for science because we have enough resources to do it. I hate... Life and Kill's terrible, right? Like, some people like it. Shadow damage is just completely useless on this. We get dexterity on it. Is this going to be better than when I have if I start adding other things to it? Now, that's the major question here, Dreadknights. Let's see. Critical strike. $63. Okay, perfect. I have to see if this is technically an upgrade or not. No, it's still significantly weaker. Let me, again, for science, we have materials we can waste. So just trust the process, okay? I know it's not going to make a whole bunch of sense, just trust the mad scientists at work. Could we put it in masterworking? Can we upgrade that? Weapon damage. I mean, we don't really use weapon damage. That's the thing. Is it better now? 33. 360 dexterity. Let me put a socket in it. I know it's not... Again, trust the process. I have materials to burn, so it's not like a big deal this far into the season. Let's see here. I want to double check. Okay, we're good in OBS. Alright. Well, the thing about this, too, is we haven't gotten... Let's do this a couple times. Trust the process. 100% critical strike damage. 105 weapon damage. Trust the process. 50 damage multiplier. I think I prefer that. 100% is nice, though. Give me a second. I gotta think about this carefully. Definitely not that. Hello? Welcome. Thank you, whoever that was. For science, 306. Ooh, that's a good amount of dexterity that we didn't have before. 100%. Maybe I'll take the 100% here. Is it better this way? I'm debating it. It's still weaker. The life on kill thing is stupid on this, I gotta be honest with y'all. I want to test something for science. Again, please wait. I'm sorry.
Keep your treasures close.
For science. I'm gonna swap the dagger a second. Just trust. I'm not gonna... I still have to put, like, the thing on it, but I want to see. Will this be better than this? No. It'd be better in one retrospect, it won't in another. Let me see if I transfigure it, just for the hell of it. And see if it gives a stat on it that would be beneficial to us after I put the proper affix on it. And see if that will help. But it's not looking too good for this dagger. It's not that I want. Not that I want. Could be that one. Yeah. The only thing different is that's like 60% increase, but we could just... You know? Let's hope it gets slightly better. Indestructible. Kind of pointless. Unlucky. Not good. But we tried. It's the most we could do. Put this here. Craft to a mythic. We gotta get the chest. Remember I was doing all those seasonal objective things? That's what it was about. I have 8 of these, so we have some opportunities to try to get it. See if it's enough. It might not be, but... Trust the process, right? As the saying goes. Plus side, we got a whole bunch of materials. Also, on top of this, we got a whole bunch of superior keys, so we could do some boss farming, too. As you were wondering. Alright, so we got the gloves that I'm not going to use basically 90%. I'm going to hold on to that because I could use it for a roll. Don't need that, 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 don't need that. Hold on to that. I don't need that, I don't need that. Decent stuff from that. Let's pick this up more. Okay. Sorry. I'm a little bit tired today. Like I said, I'm still kind of working through burnout. I'm trying to figure some stuff out too. So every once in a while, I try to like micromanage being a little bit... I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. A slight bit overwhelmed, maybe? You know, like I said, I'm constantly worried about stream quality lately, so I'm like always checking over aggressively. Seems like these guys have been fine today though, so at least makes me happy in that retrospect. I don't need half of this junk. I know some people would prefer if like I was playing Isaac right now or something else, but I do want to play Diablo IV because it does very well in the VODs. Because I know that's one of those games where you can just kind of put it on, you know, speed up and stuff. I don't need that. Let's do this, see if I can get it. Only 2 chances. Well, it gave me a direct upgrade, but it'll never give me a direct upgrade for this. See? 2 of them in a row. Annoying. I mean, they're mythics, but I don't play that build. And they fixed it because it was mostly used for a glitch build. So I think what we'll do is we'll get rid of... Hold on to this. That might be useful. Hold on to that. Get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that. Get rid of that. How many superior keys do we get? Ooh. We have 25 of them. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do some boss farming. I have to switch to the ballista version of this. We could, in theory, put the boss back at like Torment 11 difficulty, but it will take a long time. So the whole thing about it, I've explained this before in Diablo streams of the past. The whole point is just to do things as fast and efficiently as possible for it. So I don't want to get into the battle just yet. I have to switch to ballista. Switch to that. Put that on. We do more damage this way as opposed to your way. Roar. The problem too is like we're slower, but you'll see it's like better long term for us. So I do have to fix up the glyphs. I like Herman 12 takes a bit. So it's like if we want to do speed farm with that many, we get more mythics this way. In theory. Than as opposed to doing it the other way. See? Already got a mythic. That's why it's like sometimes people tell you 12. 12 is good because it'll give you the highest potential. But sometimes our things is, please be the thing I need? No. Ugh, unlucky. Unlucky, but what are you gonna do about it? Cry about it? Pick up anything else that we can right now. Again. Okay, good. Let's focus on that. Nice. Okay, good. I think what we'll do here, reposition. She's coming down now. Yep. The ferocity stacks. That's another thing I need, a Scoundrel's Kiss. There's so many different things I could target, which would make like this build generally better. I don't know when. I'm gonna get the superior chest. Don't need that. Let's go back to base and get rid of some of this junk. I could also show off the mythics while we're here. So, a lot of this stuff I really don't need. Like, I could keep one for safekeeping. Let's look. Maximum life, poison damage multiplier. We'll keep this one. Get rid of that. Thank you, whoever that was, for the follow. Like, subscribe, whoever that is on YouTube or Twitch. I do appreciate that. Let's get rid of this stuff. Don't need that. I'll get rid of that. Is this a mythic ring? No, it tricked me. I got hyped for duffing. So as you can see, these are the amount of mythics I have for this season so far. Nothing is particularly great. Get rid of a Sky Hunter because I really don't need that. It's a garbage loot. Let's put that there. What is this? Wind Force. I have a mythic version of that, so we don't need that either. Put that in there. Good. Like, I even have a Harlequin's crest, but at this point it's not doing as much damage or, like, being very helpful. So, again. I'm just doing this to mostly move stuff out of the way. New season of Master Duel started too. I've been debating whether I want to even log into it or not. But I have my reservations about it. So I don't really enjoy what Master Duel has become as a game. Wait on that. So. Okay, good. Open. Can't even see it because of all that Earth stuff. No mythic. Why would Dread want a mythic? How dare Dread want a mythic? Let's use the Corner of Shame. We're gonna put, just to save time, anything that's yellow, anything that's blue, anything that doesn't look like I can actually use it, is just going in here. We'll keep the whites, because we can at least dust them for things. Anything that's not ancestral should probably go in the garbage pile. The only thing we really want is ancestral loot at this point. Hold on to the ring in case I need to roll rings. There is a chance I could get the mythic to drop this way, but it's going to take a ridiculous amount of boss rushes to do it. Alright, and away we go. Wait on that. Very good. On there. Wait on that. Good. Okay, nice. She's done. Get out of my way. I want good loot. Should really put a loot filter on. Again, I can't go for the box because there's just too much crap that's over there. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get rid of some of the loot. I'll probably break down some talismans I don't need at this point. So that way we can pick up all that air crap too. Garbage, garbage. Garbage, 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 garbage. Not an upgrade. Garbage, 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 garbage. Alright, let's look at this. Still haven't gotten a mythic seal all season, and yet on my non-seasonal character I have one. How does that make sense to any Dread Knight out there? That way we could pick up some of that air stuff. It's not going to be significant. It never usually is. Because we have our build a very specific way at this point. I'll pick up the air stuff. There we go, unique charm mixed in there. Alright. Corner of Shame. No. Only if it's ancestral do we want it. If it's purple gear is the only thing I care about right now. Everything else is just like, whatever. It might be an upgrade, but it's not an upgrade to my build. Made a mistake. Let's drop that. Let's drop that. Let's drop that. Let's drop that. Ugh. Let's drop that. Drop that. Is this a sword or a dagger? A dagger. Alright. Let's try again. I might have to try to roll a couple daggers. Just to see if we could, you know, cheat the system that way if we have to. Corner of Shame. Notice how the Corner of Shame is getting bigger and bigger? I don't need that. Garbage. 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 Everything else is... Well, I'll keep the dagger for the roll. Garbage. 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 Alright. Just to pick it up to move it out of the way so we can have space for the box. Alright, let's pop this again. Okay, good. She'll come down pretty quick. I think Corrupted Reaper is a female. Like, there's a debate as to whether we're gonna see him a file or not next season. I think they're teasing him. But you never know, really, when it comes to Blizzard, too. Like, I was having the discussion with Riker earlier on his stream. Like, she says in the story, he is coming, we got another mythic, okay. Well, seeing purples dropping as fast as they are is at least good, because this is basically what the endgame activity for this season has become. Just farm this boss non-stop, and maybe get one of the drops you're looking for. An upgrade to the Harley Quinn. Oh my goodness, we got a Harley Quinn crossed an Arwen. See, but without the imbuement skills, this is not even much better than what I have. But maybe we'll get lucky with the transfigure. Like, that's the... Like, I want to compare it to this one, right? You know, so this has, like, 4 imbuement on it. This one's got a decent amount of things on it, like the cooldown reduction and stuff. Ah, no. This one's... We'll play around with it. It's nice to have it. We can experiment with it as long as we don't do something stupid. So, hey, we got an iconic mythic to drop. So, that's good. This is my third Harley Quinn crest of the season. I haven't been able to get any other ones to... Like, remember at the beginning of the season when I was playing? How I couldn't get one to drop for 2 weeks. I think I told Sister Dread about this. Where it was, like, maybe a week of farming it just to get one, and it was a terrible one that I couldn't do anything with. So this is technically my third one of the season right now. So I'm kind of at least happy that we've gotten it to drop. But we wouldn't have been able to get it had it not been for the fact that they had reworked the drop rate on the boss. Because if not, like, it was not dropping. Alright. I'm gonna do the boss a whole bunch of more times. Now, this also kind of proves my point when sometimes really it's just better to do it on Tournament 10. Even though 12 can give you the highest amount of loot rarity, it's still easier. Let me make sure I don't get rid of that like a dum-dum. And one that gives me poison. Sky Hunter, that's terrible. Garbage, garbage. That actually, I think I have it as an upgraded thing. Hold on to those. Everything else can kind of get junked. So in here. So yeah, you know, it's been a challenge in terms of looting this character. Like, I also have to do pit runs, so that's like the next thing that's going to be the focus and the objective for today. But like, we have 50-something keys, was it? Or 27 keys? So I want to burn through the keys as fast as possible just to see. Because this is what dungeon crawls are about. Looting. Looting, looting, non-stop. Okay. I don't think I'm playing the PTR. Because I have to, like, install the PTR. I don't know if I'm really willing to play something that might get changed. You know, compared to the Earth season. I can pick up the Rust. Because, like, this season's pretty bad. Next season, I'm going into it optimistic. There's some changes I think is good. I think the Barbarian definitely has to be nerfed. There's some people who are so angry at it being nerfed, but it was, like, the only class that was really overperforming. And I think it's kind of important to be able to see on the map any more than just, like, the Rogue and the Barbarian all over the place. I don't know, personally, with the numbers that they showed for some of the builds. Definitely nerfing the Barbarian's the way to go. Rogue kind of stays mostly the same, but they got rid of the infinite damage glitch, which is really the only thing that people have problem with the Rogue with. The Necromancer got some buffs, but it's to skills that confuse me. They did some stuff for the Spiritborn. Warlock is getting a complete overhaul, so I think the Warlock is going to be good, which means I'm probably going to have to play a Warlock again next season, because I think that's going to be the S tier class, so I want to play something that's good for a change. Not that this season was bad, I did play 2 very good builds. Kyra, that's interesting. I almost read that as something else. Then on top of that, you know, like, I think the Paladin, which is the class I want to play the most for a season, is not going to be in a very good spot again. The Paladin just seems like he's the worst for rare when it comes to everything. So I don't know, you know? I really don't know. Like, and then there's certain things, like them keeping the mythics the way they are. I don't think that's the way to go, because it's like the whole point of a mythic is for it to be, like, good. Like, if this is better than me getting 2 of the most hard to get items, is that, like, you know? I don't know. See what I can do here, okay? I don't think, honestly, anybody would ever use impairment reduction in their build. Lucky hit? Just for now. I'm not gonna keep it. Resource costs, not good. Why did it do that? Let's continue. I want repair. Cooldown reduction? We don't really need that. Armor? But you can put armor on with a nerfing, so I don't feel like that's the way to go here. We'll put resource generation in for now, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to change it. Can you get a plus for all skills? I don't remember. Doesn't look like you can. +2 to imbuement skills. Just seeing cycle-wise what we can potentially get out of this. Let me check my notes. I know I'm sorry. This is bad streamer, but I want to check my notes on this Harley Quinn crest. Because I don't want to take the wrong one, to be honest with all of you. Because if I do, that would be kind of unfortunate. At the very least, you know? Min-maxing is kind of important, and if you screw up one of these things, forget it. It's just like, RIP, you might as well rip. But you don't want that to happen. So, let's see here. Give me 1 second, my apologies. Because it's very important. Especially, like, because this is the item that I need to really push this build over to the higher tournaments. But I don't seem to be getting a drop on it that's good. That's perfect. That's, like, basically best in slot. If you please bear with me a minute, we'll take a look at the notes and see. One second. So my Paragon board is fine. Mercenary is fine. What we need... I don't know. Hold on. It's taking a bit to load here. This is adding to my stress a little. But we do want poison imbuement on it. Ideally, we'd also like to get cooldown reduction on it. I don't think we can get all of that on it because we would need to... We would need, like, to get a great transmog going, or transfigure, excuse me. So I think the play here, please pardon me, because I know a lot of things to take in, is we want poison imbuement. It's too bad we can't get both of them on it, because cooldown is kind of important too. Hold on 1 minute. Let me double check something here, because I might be doing this the wrong way. I don't want to do it the wrong way. What can I temper on this utility? I can't put poison on it. I can only put armor, I can't put cooldown. So this is not going to be a perfect one, but we could maybe, if we play our cards right, at least turn it into something better than what I have concurrently. If the game lets me. Any day now. All that stuff, and we don't have really a better one. Gotta make some gold. Alright. Unlucky. We spent hundreds and hundreds of gold. Millions and millions of golds trying to get the reroll that we wanted. And that was not to be the case. Like, I could kind of show you, but it's not gonna make sense to people how important that just like that one stat is. For particularly the Harkin Cross. Okay, good. Let's reposition. Nice. Good amount of damage. Oh. I also need like the dagger and the ring, so like I have so many mission impossibles right now of trying to get like a decent upgrade for everything. So this will probably take us the rest of the stream. I probably won't even be able to get anything significant today, which is kind of part of the game too, right? Sometimes you only get like one thing. Corner shame. Just to like spare time, because I don't want to constantly go back and forth to base. It's not really a proper use of our time. And drop this here. Goodbye, goodbye. Yuck. 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 If I was playing like Rain of Knives, I would care for any of the stuff that's dropping, but I don't play that build. So to me, it's like... I want to say it's a nothing burger, but it kind of is. Thank you, whoever that was, for like or follow. I do appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Playing some Diablo 4. Let's see. I don't need this. 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 Hold on to that because it might be useful. I have a couple of Frostburns, so that's fine. Get rid of that. Junk it. And get rid of the ring while we're at it. More boss farming. And we got more mythic uniques today. We've got in so far one of these, an extra one of these. I already have that one. I'm trying to find a better upgrade to it. This is much better than that at the moment. I have to reroll a couple of times still, in case you're wondering. I should really put a loot filter on. I don't have to just like move this over so I can just access the box. We're going to be doing a lot of boss farming. Okay. Good. Nice, 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 nice. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, good. Nice. Perfect. I'm doing it at 10 even though I have 12 unlocked because it's quicker to do it at 10. We get more loot in faster amount of time as opposed to slower speed runs. And that's like the rule of thumb when it comes to Diablo games. Let's open this key. Unlucky. Should we start maybe rolling some daggers? Just to kind of mix it up a little bit? Let's start rolling some daggers to see if I can get that. I can also roll rings. Because I am looking for a mythic version. Oh, I have it already. Never mind. So really the only mythic version we need is the dagger. That refuses to drop. Let's use a dagger to hopefully get a dagger that I want. Please, game. You're farming this boss nonstop. Please be what I want. Nope. Everything but the dagger that I want. Please, game. Give me what I want. Guess what? That's a sword. How do you put that in and it gives you not a dagger? Let's put a sword in and see if it gives me the dagger then. Make it make sense. It gave me a dagger. Okay, this doesn't really... You see the problem here, right? At least give me a dagger if I put a dagger in. Lovely. Well. And you get rid of some other stuff that maybe I don't need. Get rid of the pants. Get rid of the gloves in a second. I'm just keeping them as collection for this point, because that I can use endgame. That I can't use. That's garbage, that's garbage, that's garbage. We only need one of these. That one can stay, that one can go. Alright. Now the real question. Did we roll anything? Answer to that. I got a Tilbolt's Will, and it's not even... I needed this for a different build. I didn't get it, and I got it here. Okay. I'm gonna hold on to that in case I can re-roll it for the season. Alright. We're gonna move these, but I'm gonna put them somewhere else. One, two. Our collection of mythics is growing. Godslayer crown up there. I held on to that for a while. I was using it for a bit too. Got rid of this junk. Let's go into Pandemonium. Gotta pick up a whole bunch of our junk again. Let's put some of the stuff in the corner of shame. As if it's a yellow or a blue and it doesn't have a star on it, it does me no good. See that? If we can just get a direct upgrade, would make our day. Just one direct upgrade. That's all we ask for, Dreadknights. That's kind of the reason why I've kind of checked out of the season in a way too, because it's like I'm not getting that one last drop that I need. I would really be able to take the build over, so what do you do at that point? Okay, good. Nice. Amazing. Alright. Reposition ourselves. He's done. No center. Okay. See if I can open this. Whole bunch of stuff I still don't need. Alright, so I'm gonna back out of the game just because I don't want to have to constantly pick up this crap. And then we'll figure things out a little bit more. I'm gonna check to see if I can put a loot filter on, because right now the only thing I care about is a unique or mythic. Anything else that drops is inconsequential to me. How do I set up a loot filter in Diablo 4? Open the game menu, loot filter button, new loot filter. Where's the loot filter button? That wasn't very helpful. Filter. F. Why didn't it work before? That's not a loot filter, though. That's a regular filter. So that's the wrong information. Yeah, that's the wrong information. So why would you tell me that for the filter? Will you do loot filter from here? No. That is the incorrect information. Make a filter out of condition. How do you make the filter, though? That's what I want to know. Make a filter out of condition in the right top bit of the rule editor next to... But it's not explaining actually how I use it. Let me check the wiki. I'm sorry. Because it's seeing these blues is just pissing me off at this point. Open the main menu. In navigation options, gameplay, scroll down to loot filter. Okay, see? That's the actual answer that I need. That's the actual answer that I want. Sometimes you can't get a straight answer sometimes in these games. So, alright. Alright. So it's here. Not here. It's under game. Options. Gameplay. Keep an eye out for it, Dreadknights. Open loot filter. New filter. Confirm. Add a rule. Fire range. Minimum. Oh, this is going to take forever to set up. Let me see if I can just get one that's already online. Discard. Import a loot filter. Oh, I have to have a code. Never mind. It'll take way too long. Dread doesn't have that much time left to stream. So I'm just going to back out. And we'll go back in the easy way. Because to set it up is just pain. I have to do that off of stream. So somebody please remind me via, like, social media or via Discord. Even though I gotta be honest with you, I haven't been even checking my Discord lately. We'll do it that way. I just don't want to have to be borrowed to pick up loot that I don't necessarily want. I think most people can understand that. Oh, hold it. I need that for something. But I did at least get something useful today. On the box. I need to import that somewhere else for next season. Happy accident. Let's get more loot. I'm not picking that up. That thing that refuses to break down. Don't need that. Get rid of that. Alright. Let's do ourselves a favor. I don't need those, but I gotta keep those. Little junk. Wrong one. Sorry. Not there. Old junk. All seals.
It has been a pleasure.
Alright, that'll give us more box space to work with. 16 keys left. This is basically going to be a rest of the stream, just boss farming. Alright, let's see here. Pandemonium altar. Okay, good. Nice. Let's do that. Move. Good. Got another mythic at least. We're getting them. Hopefully it'll be a little bit better than what we had before, right? I might pick up the simple dagger if we have the space for it. Melted Heart, another iconic mythic unique. So, I mean, we're getting stuff to drop, but again, unless this stuff doesn't do anything for me, that's a terrible ring. That might be an upgrade. Let's hold on to it. I have to fix up the stats a little bit on it, but that might actually be what I was looking for originally all stream. For an upgrade to the second dagger that we have. Alright. Pick this up. Summon. Alright, cool. Let's fire this off. Reposition ourselves. Alright, nice. Good. Wait on that. Okay, move. It's done. Easy. Open. Not a mythic. We'll take it. Let's go back to base. So now we gotta put the mythic that we got. I mean, I don't know. Like, there's so many mythics, and I can't really, like, deconstruct them either, because there's, like, nothing else that... What am I gonna do? Roll for the crest that I have, like, 3 copies of at this point? You know? Okay. So, we're gonna move this over there. Just so I can put this in the box. I can put that there. I'm gonna move this into here. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna try to roll it now. So I have a feeling we're close to running out of time. I would really like to be able to hopefully get this dagger on stream. It's the only other piece really I need for the season. And it's just, honestly, Dreadknights, one of those things that I want, so I can just say, okay, well, I'm done with the season, I did what I wanted to do. Just to make sure I had every item that I wanted mythic. I think we just got it, actually. We did. Okay, great. So this is going to be a significant upgrade to what we have, regardless. We gotta check it out here. The only thing is we're going to lose the gem strength thing unless we get lucky with a transfigure. I'm thinking all damage multiplier instead of critical strike. There's stuff we gotta roll off of this.
What do you think?
I think what I have is actually ironically gonna be better. Don't really need the maximum life. Thank you. All damage multiplier, critical strike damage multiplier, imbuement skills are gonna go up. Can we add an affix to this? I wonder. I don't think you can, but we're gonna try. I think it's only for low level gear. Yeah, it doesn't even show up on that, right? No. Okay. That's good to know. Alright, so let's put a temper on it. Offensive or weapon. Critical strike chance. Or critical strike damage. I think critical strike damage here. And then try to get the roll to our way. If I could get... There we go. Because you always want to get a greater affix on this. Because if you don't, it's kind of like defeats the purpose. Alright. Let's masterwork it. And then we have to put a gem socket on it. I am low on gold. That is not what I want. Or is it?
Back to it then.
It's better. Maybe I keep it like that. Let's put... Hello, welcome to the stream, whoever that was. Thank you for the like for following.
Beautiful.
Okay, good.
Welcome to the Islands. What do you bring?
Check into it. Okay. Sorry about that. Let's add a socket. Did I add the socket?
Keep your treasures close.
Yes, I did. Okay. Because I heard the sound notification. I'm like, huh? Now we have to hope we get something that would be a good stat. Ideally, we want gem socket weapon. I don't think we're going to get it, though. Let's hope. Critical strike chance isn't necessarily bad. I mean, it's an upgrade. It is an upgrade. I still prefer this one because of the... But this is significantly better. So at least we got a significantly better weapon. Let's remove that from the socket.
Gems to set.
So I basically have hit my goal for the season at this point. 1 second. I'm gonna pick up the Grand Emerald. Yeah, like ideally I've hit my goal now, because I have a full mythic set of everything that I would want for this build. Howl the Nameless, Shrouded Gift, Eagle Horn, Etna's Lost Dagger, Scoundrel's Kiss. The rest of the stuff is, you know. And this I'm still debating whether I'm going to swap it for another one. And we also now just got to kind of play around with the Harley Quinn crest and see if I can get one that's gonna help with the build. But I think we've come a long way quite a bit since the first day of the season. But there's not too much more I can necessarily do with this character. At this point, it's just gonna be like min-maxing time at that point. Because now it's like, there's nothing else I can really do outside of like the ring and get like minor upgrades. And then don't think that's gonna be something that I probably am gonna do for the season. I'm gonna go back in and farm the boss a little bit more for the next like 8 minutes or so, and then I bow out. Ideally, we don't even have to do the boss at this point. Maybe we should just go get a nightmare dungeon with gold, but I'll do it one more time so we can do some gold farming, because I need some gold, and then we'll end on the day on that. I'll probably play a little bit more off the stream. Thank you, whoever that was. He's gonna get milk. Yeah, this is way better already. I can tell you a big difference just with the dagger being mythic. Like a significant difference, especially with like the critical strike increase. I would have preferred like some vulnerable damage on it too, but you know, beggars can't be choosy. Gotta work with what the game gives you and then just like try to swap it from there. You know? It's all part of the process. Like I always say, when it comes to Diablo games, it's a slow burn type of game. So, you know, it's about the journey, not so much the destination. Getting incrementally more powerful as you go along. Don't need it. Like, now the problem is, now that I've hit the plateau, like, what do I do? Because I'm probably not going to play the Rain of Knives. What is it? Rain of Arrows build, because I don't think it's a bad build, keep that in mind, but it just doesn't seem like a playstyle that I'm interested in. Penetrating shot at least as close to Barrage. Like, I did do the Barrage build too, but the Barrage build is no good. Like, I wanted to play multi-shot Barrage originally. And I played for a big part of the beginning of the season, but I realized it just was not good. Like, there was nothing you could do to make that build any better than what it was. And at that point, it was like, well, what do you do from here? You have to switch over to another build, so we had to go into A-tier build, you know? I'm looking forward to the new season because I'm hoping they shift the meta a bit more. Damage over time. I'm gonna hold on to that, maybe. Because now it's like, the next focus is like getting a better version of this. Getting a better ring. But I kind of like the ring because it's vulnerable, but I would prefer like critical strike on it. You know? Getting a better upgrade of that, which we can do, but again, I'm not like super committed to certain things right now, you know, because we've hit like a pretty good spot. Now it's just like gonna take forever to get anything else. Like, if we can't clear content after that type of build, then it's just like not gonna happen for us this season. I guess is the point I'm trying to make. But like having our gear completely like fully mythiced out, and there's how many days left in the season? I think it was like a good testament to our seasonal journey, right? Like, now I'm pretty sure if we tried to do that boss that I originally was trying to do, Mephisto Uber, we'd probably be able to kill him pretty quickly. But I'm gonna do a Nightmare Dungeon escalation, and we'll close on that because I'm running low on gold, so I need to like replenish my gold. So I'm hoping, in theory, that we can get something good out of this. Wrong one. Always make that mistake. It's over here. Chunk. Chunk. See if I have a Nightmare Sigil. I do. Just looking for one with gold right away. We didn't get one, but that should just be fine anyway. So for this, we do 3 Nightmare Dungeons. We fight a couple of bosses. At the very end of it, we fight Astaroth. Astaroth is a boss that can drop like mythic loot. Not a lot of them. The most you get your mythic loot from is a seasonal boss. But the problem, like with the season, then after a while, is you get burnout from it. Give me 1 second. Since we're trying to speed through this, better to put Shadow Shot here. More bang for my buck, in case you're wondering. And get me through this a little bit quicker doing it this way, as opposed to Ballista. Ballista's good for bossing. This Shadow is basically for speed farming, and since we're speed farming right now, we just do this. See how much gold you're already getting from this, which is kind of nice. Let's get the Prisoner of Remains. Get this guy away first. He's being a bit of a nuisance. Trying to camp me, bro. Why are you trying to camp me, bro? So go over here. Gotta re-put my imbuement on. The goal here is we have to free some prisoners. We can ignore most of small fries if we want to. I thought I had already did that. Apparently we overshot it. Okay, we saved her. Good job. 1 day's work for the Wanderer. Nice. Go over here. Good. I'll do this just because it's got, it gives you extra experience points from doing the event. And it's like a very easy event to clear. And plus, since we're gold farming, there's no reason really right now why I shouldn't be doing this. And I have Tournament 12 unlocked. I'm just doing it because it's a little quicker to do it on this. Just to get like faster runs because I'm just trying to speed farm. So in Diablo, the rule of thumb, for those of you who don't know, you bring it down to something where you can clear the content super quickly. So you can get the most possible runs done as fast as possible. That's why we did at least, I don't know, maybe 50 boss runs in the span of, what, less than 40 minutes? Because I had it at the right difficulty to do that. Sometimes people make the mistake and they think they have to be on, like, Torment 12. But then they're, like, build isn't necessarily ready for it, and they run the risk of like getting very little loot, and then they're like, man, I didn't get anything on stream. Why did I do that? Well, sport, it's because you were farming at the wrong level. Better to do things fast and efficiently on a lower torment and get more loot than do it super slow and get very little loot and then find out you have less chance to get a mythic. We have, how many mythics do we get today in speed farming? At least 8 or 12. 4 of them were iconic mythics, mind you. It's just a matter of knowing how to exactly farm for exactly what you want. I mean, I will say, trying to get the dagger that we needed was a bit of a pain, but I didn't expect it was going to take us 2 hours to get it, but I'm glad that we have it because it's made us significantly more powerful than we could ever dream before. So now I've kind of hit a plateau where it's just like trying to optimize the Harley Quinn crest, and then we'll have like really super, I don't know if we'll do another, I'm thinking we have at least 2 more rogue sessions for the season, because I think by the next time you see this, which will be next week, we've basically should, in theory, have hit all our accolades at that point, because we should be so strong that nothing can really get in our way at that point. Which is kind of the goal of a season, to just kind of build your character up to strong. And the good thing about this game too is like you don't have to get to Tournament 12. You can stop whenever you feel like you've gotten like your money's worth out of it. The only thing too is like for newer players to Diablo 4, like the game starts out with a slow burn, so if you're expecting to get like god loot in the beginning, like level 1 for 70, you're only going to see really yellow and blues. Maybe you'll get a legendary to drop. You don't really start seeing the endgame stuff until you get to like Torment 4. And you don't really start to see the real true drops somewhere around Torment 7 or 8. 10 ideally is where you're going to kind of hit your plateau. So that's a really... 12 is really just for like the sweat lords and for the people that want to do tower content, because you need like full mythic gear to be able to do tower content. And then even then, doing the tower, you also necessarily need other things along the way too, right? Like, for example, to do tower, you want your glyph upgrades at like level 150, which means, guess what, sport? Who's sport? Why do you keep calling me sport, Tread? Basically, for the glyphs, like, you have to go into the pit runs and do like level 150s and stuff. So that takes a bit too, because you have to get the beer. You have to get the beer, the loot, and the glyphs optimized for that, the gear. You know, so it's a bit of a game that it's like, it's not for everybody. Like, if you like MMOs, you're probably going to like Diablo 4 if you can stick through a lot of the overwhelming stuff of it. I mean, like, people who play RuneScape, I think if you play RuneScape, there is some allure to this game, but it's not like that same type of experience, right? You know? It's similar-ish in the fact that it's an old-school type of RPG, but it's more, I don't want to say arcadey, because arcadey is not necessarily the word, but it's more faster-paced, and it's more of those things where it's going to have, like, you doing some very intense things, but again, the allure sometimes too of playing Diablo 4, despite the fact that Dread refuses to do it because he's more of a solo self-line player even when he doesn't have solo self-line, is that if you play it with a bunch of friends and a bunch of people, it makes the grinding sessions a little bit better because you can trade with people, you know? Like, I'll tell you, Dreadknights, my dream one day, this is gonna be silly, it's like, okay, I'm gonna tell people this, and you can judge me if you want to. You can judge me if you want to, you can laugh at me. The best way to ever connect with me as a human being is to play video games with me. So, like, if somebody was ever trying to court me, I know that's probably weird to say on stream. If you played Diablo 4 with me, you would probably have, like, you're in for life. I kid you not. Because this is the one game, like, even not Diablo 4, it could be even Diablo 2. Like, that's your in to bond with me in general. Because you know, this to me is a fun game. So, like, being able to loot with somebody and they would, like, have a fun time looting and being able to gear up them, that's, like, bonding hours for me, right? That's, like, my dream. Like, I'll tell you a funny story. There was somebody years ago that tried... Let me preface this. This is, like, 5 or 6 years ago, okay? This is not anytime recently. 5, 6 years ago, there was somebody that was, like, kind of into me. And, like, I kind of knew that they were into me, so I tried to give them a test. So my test, when I know that somebody's into me, as I will ask them to play Diablo with me, or to play a video game with me that I actually enjoy to play, whether it's like Monster Hunter or Diablo. It has to be something I'm really, very into. And if they say no, or they're not interested, this is a true story, their outlet is closed. Like, it's, oh, you don't want to play a video game with me that I like, because I'm trying to share something that I enjoy in a pastime and something I'm really adamant about. It's like, I'll share a movie with somebody too. Like, if I really like somebody, like, I want to share a movie with you that I like, that I find that's super interesting. If you don't go and watch that movie, for me it's like, oh, well, I guess you don't like me then, because you don't care enough to get invested in something that I'm interested in. True story, true story. So that's like a... I'm not saying that's a tip because I don't think anybody's trying to court me, but if somebody were trying to court me, playing Diablo goes a long way, just saying. You'd have like an out for life. You know, I'm not joking. I'm literally being serious about that. Or Monster Hunter. You play Monster Hunter and... yeah, those are the ways. Like, or you, like, I tell you to go watch a movie. I've said a whole bunch of movies today to watch. I said Grease 2. If you watch Grease 2 and can analyze the themes of that, that would be kind of cool. Little Shop of Horrors. I said Phantom of the Opera. The movie version, even though the movie's not good, but, like, stuff like that, you know? I gave a whole bunch of examples. If you go and watch one of those movies and you come back and you're like, Dread, I watched that. Or Dread, I'll play Diablo. You're set with Dread for a good amount of time. At least you have your in. I can't promise that'll work out for you. But you have your in. You know? It's silly to say that, but it's true, it's true. But there was this girl that I was into 6 years ago, okay? This is a preface again. 6 years ago. I don't want anybody to think it's anything recently, because this isn't the case. 6 years ago. And she was into me. I asked her to play Diablo with me. It wasn't Diablo 4, because Diablo 4 wasn't out. It was Diablo 3. And they said no. And that killed their chances, because it was like, oh. Also, Monster Hunter. I asked them to play Monster Hunter World. Was it World? No, was World out yet? No, it was Generations Ultimate. I asked them to play Generation Ultimate with me. And they said no, and they liked me. But it's like, but you don't want to share my past, my interests. So it's like, how am I, you know? It was a deal breaker. I gotta be honest with you. It was a deal breaker. Because it's like, true story. If somebody's like really into me, not that I think I don't know if anybody is or isn't. I'm not saying that. Like, if they told me to go play a video game with them, and they recommended a video game, even if I've never played it, I would go play it and check it out and see. And if they wanted me to play it with them, I would play it with them. Because it's like, if I'm really interested, I would want to be able to share in something that they enjoy doing, right? You know? I think that's just the way it should go, but, you know? I don't know. So what we're doing right now, for people that don't know, is we're basically farming for gold, so I can get my Harley Quinn crest, the extra one that I have, try to see if we can modify it. We need a lot of gold because we gotta do a couple rerolls on it, because particularly I'm looking for cooldown reduction on it, so we can get a max amount of cooldown reduction and a max amount of our stuff on it. So there's that. So once we finish this Nightmare Escalation Dungeon, which is free Nightmare Dungeons mixed together, we fight a boss. We should, in theory, have enough gold to do that. So we'll min-max it there. Oh, a bit of a lag spike there. These guys seem good. Oh, okay. And that will be basically where we close out. I'm sorry I'm a little bit in overtime. My apologies to that. Just because I want to close us out on sake of we fully maxed this out. Okay, good. What am I also doing these for? Besides the fact that they're giving you a whole bunch of stuff, these orbs are part of the seasonal journey. And they open up what is called a... I don't know, I forget now. It's like, it's there in the corner, you can read it. Death Toll Chamber. And in the Death Toll Chamber, you have a chance to get superior keys, which you use to, you guessed it, farm the seasonal boss. If you've ever been familiar with World of Warcraft, and you've done, like, the mounting system in the World of Warcraft requires you to fight a whole bunch of bosses in order to get, like, a rare mount. So, basically, we're doing it, but not for a rare mount. We're doing it for a very rare reward. And the reward is basically for mythic uniques, which are, like, the strongest items in the game. And there are a whole bunch of them. There's, like, 70 per class this particular season. And it looks like there's going to be about 70 per class next season, because it doesn't seem like they're going to change it. And that's basically why you farm the same boss over again. It used to be in the previous seasons you could farm any boss and you get like the mythic uniques, but one particular seasonal boss has like the highest drop rate of it. So Dread has been farming. I do have already every gear that I need, but I need significant upgrades. So we're just trying to min-max right now. So that way, then when I am already at Torment 12, but I'm doing this for speed farming. So it's easier to dumb it down a little bit, so to speak. So you can just clear the content a little bit quicker. Because you get it done faster and there'll be more rewards for you, as opposed to doing it where the rewards might be greater, but you get less stuff done. You know, we've done a whole bunch of stuff. If you're just joining the stream, you missed me farming a boss and getting a whole bunch of mythics to drop. You missed, like, so many movie rants, too. But you can always go back and watch the VOD. That's what the VODs are for, right? You know, I love VOD watchers. I love lurkers. They're the backbone and foundation of the Dreadknight Society. Okay, good. Let's do this. See this portal that opened? This is the Death Toll Chamber. So we'll go in here, we fight a couple things. They'll die pretty quickly, almost certainly. Just get that ready. Let's pop this so I can get my resource regeneration that I need. Look, it's going to expand it so much that there's going to be a big boss that comes out. Not to be confused with the boss. Okay, it's there somewhere. It is probably about to die because I've got my ferocity stacks. Yep. Glimmer of Hope. It's good. There's a key mixed in there somewhere that you get. Should be from this. Yep. Because everything, you have to kill everything for it to drop. See the lair boss keys? So we got some extra keys. Go back in there. Now we'll just go fight the bosses. We'll do this a bit. And we are pretty much good to go. We should got a lot of loot out of that. Quite a bit. Quite a lot. Quite a lot. Nice. So let's go here. We're going to activate the room key, and then we'll do a couple things. I know it's a bit... I'm sorry that it takes a bit to go. Just because it's a nightmare dungeon. Sometimes I don't mean to go over... I usually stream 2 hours, but in this case, I'm sorry about that. We went into a little bit overtime. I didn't think this through, but I wanted to kind of get that upgraded at least. I understand sometimes. I don't... You know. Diablo, sometimes it takes a little bit longer than you think. Okay, let's go. Nice. So you're probably wondering why the hell are you doing this now. I have to take the keystones to a specific part of the map. Which is probably going to be somewhere in the middle, if I'm not mistaken with this layout. Yeah, it's in the middle. So this is one key. We know where the other key is because we already found it, so it's in this corner over here. We'll use this so we can get a speed boost. So it's up there. Always read the map, that way you just don't get lost. Sometimes it's as simple as that, because these type of layouts for this, not necessarily essential. Sometimes you can kind of cheat the system a little bit if you know the pathing, but I haven't played as much Diablo IV as I have in recent seasons, which is kind of crazy when you say it. I say that I haven't played a lot this season, and I have like a whole bunch of hundreds of hours right now. Should be like a... Let's answer a question right now in this character. I can't do it in the... Wait on that a second. I gotta clear these enemies. They can't kill me, though. I'm not, like, necessarily immortal, but my armor is a certain stat at this point where I have a threshold. Did they die? They died to poison damage. I'm stuck because an enemy immobilized me. Alright, let's go. Good. Let's see, it should be over this way. That's why I'm trying to ignore the small fries, because they don't really matter too much here. Okay, good. Let's get the bloodstone. Not to be confused with the bloodstone from a different thing. Nope. Hold F one. Can I do it here and show you how many hours without anybody interrupting me? Nope. Let me see if I can do it this way. Profile. Right now, for this season, I have 111 hours. And I say that's a little amount of playtime, but when you compare it to other people who have been playing the season, some people have, like, logged in 200 hours already. That's kind of like child's play. I used to do more, but remember, I've split up the season on top of that between, like, 2 different characters. We're gonna activate the boss here. The boss should even this way drop pretty quickly. Yep. Okay, so we need 2 more dungeons, and then we'll be done. Sorry it took so long. Just trust the process. Is one of these gold? We have a war bounty we can pick up too. Okay, decent. I don't want to pick up 2 clips because you see that there's something underneath here. I don't want to go into the wrong one. Skull reserves, I don't need. Ruptures could be useful. We'll do ruptures again, because it'll give us another pandemonium. Circles, the seasonal thing, so then you can activate another death toll chamber, can get more keys. I won't do any more key runs today, though. Keep that in mind. And in theory, we could also ignore them to just go to... Oh, I found the key already. That doesn't happen too frequently. Good. Nice. Good. Nice, nice, nice. I got the key. In theory, I should do those, but because we are pressed for time, it doesn't really matter. Some people get upset. I have a lot of those already. I have a lot of keys also, so it's not really going to matter. I still have, like, at least 25 superior keys. I didn't run out of them. So let's just get to Astaroth and really just focus on getting the gold that we need. And just ignore the seasonal part of the thing. Just so we can get it through a little bit quicker. Okay, good. Nice. Okay, good, good, good. There's something here. I think it's the bloodstone that I need, probably to activate the door. Nice. Alright, let's move. Good thing with this build, too, is I have, like, a lot of positioning I can do. And I'm just killing everything with poison. Poison is surprisingly really good. I remember there used to be a season where, like, poison was just utterly terrible for the rogue. Like, years back, like, when the game very first came out, it wasn't good. Shadow damage is terrible. I hope one day we can get, like, a shadow build going for poison... Or not poison, excuse me, for penetrating shot rogue. This penetrating shot rogue with shadow damage would be interesting. I feel like it's the most, like... the least used, I guess I would say. Debut right now, so, you know, it is what it is, I suppose. Maybe they'll buff it at some point, but I could see them, like, not buffing it till maybe another expansion. Like, BlizzCon is September 12th, and they're going to be revealing stuff, and they're saying that there's something apparently big that's going to be revealed. There is a goblin, I think? No, that's a chest. I got gaslighted into thinking it was a loot goblin. Let's open that up. I don't really need anything from those. I don't use skull gems on this build, so it's like, it's nothing for me. Alright. Let's keep pushing. What do we have to do here? Return the pedestal, but we haven't found exactly where that goes just yet. Sometimes these nightmare dungeons can be a lot longer than you want them to be. Alright, let's do that. Good, good, good. Let's move down this way. Nice. Move down this way. Nice. Get that. Okay, let's not get that. I could always get it in the box when it picks up. And again, unless it's like purple or a white piece of gear that says like ancestral with stars on it, I don't need it at this point. It's not going to do anything for my build. Where is... okay, there it is. I was like... even I was a bit perplexed by that. Let's do this. Okay, cool. Let's get the bloodstone pedestal. Open sesame. This boss is going to explode so quick it's not even funny. Alright, cool. We don't need anything that it dropped. We're going to look for one that has keys. Anything that says lair keys. Legendary spoils and unique spoils. So we'll basically it's pick your poison. Do you want burning strikes or do you want that? I think that's the safer bet to go. So now we'll fight like a big boss that has a potential to drop a mythic, not as much as the seasonal boss. We'll do that. We'll check our gold. We'll fix up the hard crust. And yeah, I mean, we've made great strides today. It was a good session. It didn't start out super good, but as we went into hour 2, it was way better. Pop this so I can get an increase in attack stats. He might be a little bit of a problem. If I'm not mistaken, he's a poison resistant. He does poison. I think I can honestly stay here though, I'm fortified. Yep. Well, womp womp. He didn't give me a mythic. I wasn't expecting a mythic. But there might be a piece of gear there. Oh, it's boots. It's a 4-star boots, which any other build would have loved to have that, but not mine. Well, maybe. It depends on the stats of that boot. We'll see. Maybe we actually got something that could be kind of useful, too. Unironically. What are you doing here? We just got freaking proto-bombed, you could say, by our boss. Where did you come from? Are you dropping anything? A tuning prism. Well, that could be kind of useful. wasn't exactly what I was trying to go for here. Where... Is this sword, or is it the boots? You gotta be for real with you, the rest of those pieces of gear do not matter to me, so we're going back to base. It's stuff that I probably already have a bunch of. And again, unless it's purple, at this point it doesn't matter. I know it's crazy, but that's how far along I am in the season. Alright, Life regen, barrier generate. That's terrible. That is garbage. The armor part is good. The rest of it's crap. Ugh. I was so happy, and then I saw that. I'm like, ugh, yuck. I don't need that. Might hold on to that. It's gone. I don't need that. I have a bunch of those already, too. Alright, how much gold did we get? 14... 1 second, un momento. Alright. Not there. Over here. Enchant. I gotta get a cooldown on here. I can't do it again. I'm gonna have to do that off stream. I'm trying to get cooldown on it. So basically I'm trying to make it like this one here. And then I'm trying to contrast and compare, but it's going to take a while to get to that. I don't personally have that type of time. So, reviewing the build, for those of you who are curious, I have Cow the Nameless finally as a mythic. I do also have Hariklin's Crest, which this one's so-so. I have also for my mythic, the Shrouded Gift. I have the Eagle Horn for my mythic. I have Etna's Lost Dagger for the mythic. And I have the Scoundrel's Kiss for the mythic. So, in theory, I got everything that my heart desired today. With that being said, though, thank you to everybody that hung out. Thank you to everybody that lurked. Lurkers are the backbone of this channel. I do greatly appreciate it. Most importantly, I appreciate you. Tomorrow, I will be doing Don't Starve Together, which I'm gonna try it out for the first time. I have played a little bit off the stream. I don't know how it's gonna go, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. I do greatly appreciate it. Most importantly, I appreciate you. I'll see you all for the next one. Till next time, guys.